Hey everyone, and welcome back to Episode Club. Today or tonight actually, because it's 8:30, we're gonna be talking about Harlots Season 1, Episode 5 and 6. No episode titles. It still gets me that this show really doesn't have really episode titles. But joining me today is the Harlot bunch that we got here today. We got Mrs. Quigley, but we'll get Mrs. Quigley come back. But before then, we have Braavosi podcast. Erin, how you doing today?
I'm not too bad. I'm battling a cold, so hopefully I don't sound too manly. I don't know. Maybe some of you colds like that. but yeah. How you doing, Mackenzie?
I'm I'm doing quite okay. It's the last 2 weeks of the semester, so it's like finals week and like exams coming up. So I'm doing all right, but it's taking a break to be here with all of you and to cover this crazy show with my crazy, or as Johnny says, his crazy crew. We're, I guess, part of it. Um, but yeah,
Trademarked. Copyright.
2019, 2018,
We're the
Registered trademark.
pineapple crew.
the pineapple, the great pineapple crew of whatever we are, the internet, YouTube, um,
the quite great pineapple crew of the Cunny riots of 1763.
which was Johnny's name
This is
last.
all kinds of copyrighted material not being used. This is against the Fair Use Act. And
Uh-oh.
definitely going to lodge a complaint with the proper authorities. Who's ready to talk about whores? And thanks for asking. I'm doing great. Both of y'all. I'm glad y'all are doing good. Alone, dead, lemon chickens aside. This is going to be a good one.
You and your the lemon chicken for half.
Don't worry, they're gone. They're gone. They've been erased from existence.
No, no. But we got some of our fellow.
Them chickens.
We got some people in the chat here to talk to us about these lovely characters that we're going to talk
Bitchin' the
about.
beef.
Oh, Jesus. So we got Danny McKay, finger guns for Danny McKay. We also have Dark Mother, some lady named Braavosi Broadcast. I don't know what she's doing here. As well as some guy named House of the Conqueror. Again, don't know who they are. As
He's
well,
a piece of shit.
yeah. And we also got Peter Griffin. How you doing there? And yeah, we'll probably collect a few more people along this journey, so to speak. But how did you kind of feel before we dive in? How did you feel about
Well,
these two?
I feel like this is the chronicles of syphilis, and everybody's end is going to be like the blind woman. That's where all the cunnies end up.
Oh Jesus!
I don't know. I had to open strong, okay?
That's some. Mrs. Scanwell
Well,
is foreshadowing for all of them.
I hear anchovies are in high demand these days. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's the hair. It's fucking my. It's fucking up. It's like off balance in my brain right now. Chrissy of Oldstone, shut the hell up. No, yeah, you got Lydia Quigley, and I'm doing a perfect voice of her too, so you can't even tell. Sasuke, what's good? Don't no excuses. I'm not really necessarily down for that. I'm gonna take you, lock you in a room, and give you over to the Spartans. since you've offended me.
Oh no!
Where's Emily Lacey, by the way? Let's go get that bitch.
Where's
She took
Emily?
off.
I'm gonna put a duffel bag over your head.
She's gone. But Erin, yeah, what did you think about these two episodes before we do the deep dive that we're gonna attempt to do?
Oh, they're pretty good. It's starting to really get a little more juicy. There's some action going on in these episodes, so it's starting to ramp up a little bit, get a little more exciting. So it's fun.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it kind of starts off the heels of episode 4 with the Hades party, or whatever you want to call that party that happened, the masquerade.
Winner of that party, the goat. And yeah, there may be a subliminal message there.
Well, the goat is the greatest of all time, so there you go.
Well, there's a few. Yeah, there's all kinds of goats. Goats that eat mushrooms. You know, shit like that. Just weird shit. Casey C. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know why I say hello. What's up, my black-hearted friend?
Chrissy
You
of
know, I
Old,
love them black hearts.
Chrissy of Oldstone says that she's gotten her mother to watch Harlots too. So,
Nice.
I mean,
It's a good, wholesome family show until old Howard the Duck starts to try to penetrate everything. Good thing he got penetrated in these episodes, like I predicted.
You did.
You did. You were spot on too.
Yeah.
You know, little autoerotic asphyxiation with Mrs. Wells. You think he got his rocks off right before he died? I would have.
I mean,
Damn, I am awful.
I mean, like, if he was in that position where, because she was like, so it would have been funny if, like, instead of just 2 of the Wells sisters, it's like the Wells sister and the mother.
Oh my gosh.
Sir, your watch has ended.
Your watch has ended. Well, don't start saying the night watch, because then that'll get me laughing. The chief of the night watch.
Right. Sorry for cutting you off, so let me give you your show back. I do apologize.
Oh no. No, don't worry about it. Here, this is the messy version of episode club. We don't really. There's no formal structure with this show when we cover it. So we get. We'll just start off with Mark.
Go ahead and read Peter Griffin's comment.
What? Did you do something new with your hair, Johnny?
Why, I did. So nice of you to notice, Peter. Let me get your number.
Yes. Let me have your. Let me have your services be required. Anyway, we've got Margaret. We'll start off with Margaret Wells and how pretty much after the party she feels like that the move was the right thing to do, and that the party was a success, and that she's trying to obviously rid her disagreements with Lydia Quigley, so she pays the debts for Mary Louise, and yeah, we get them going to her house and the little squabble of between the two of them. It's just funny to watch that scene, but we'll talk about that. And
Can we just say Frenchie just basically degrading, saying whatever? One time she was banging every stroke. Money in French. I love her. I'm really starting to like her a little more, even though I feel like she's a treasonous cunny. But you know.
And then, there was another time, I think it was like the last episode, where she was like saying how bad that person smelled or something. I don't know. But they talk about how that the girls are getting, apparently there's rumors that Quigley's girls are locked up, but then they end up entering a truce, and she pays them all for the services they provided for the party, and it becomes that they're also in part of this hiding something. More specifically, one person is hiding something from Margaret Wells. So all that. What do we think about Margaret Wells this episode, or that part of it anyway?
You kind of start to see that she's juggling a lot of things, but she's a little bit more secretive than you initially thought. But she's got so much going on and so much to juggle that she's just got to kind of play her cards just so all the time. But yeah, she made nice with Mrs. Quigley about the French girl, and then I think we saw Emily Lacey, didn't we? She tried to get out with her. She was like, Mrs. Wells, and Mrs. Wells wasn't stopping for her. I don't know if she actually heard her, but she was out the door, and they locked that door pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think after that, she gave her like money, and then she like Emily Lacey just like spat on the ground. Mr. North was not taking that, and she just kept pushed her out the door.
Fuck no. Yeah, I beat the shit out of Emily Lacey. I put that curb stomp on her ass. You know, I just pulled a whole American History X on her. I went Edward Norton on her ass.
Yeah,
And
Mrs. Quigley beats the hell out of her after she finds
I
out.
drank my milk, young lady. I got strong bones. I can still knock you out at 65.
I drink your milk.
Well, I didn't say I didn't say it was man milk. you
Fight milk?
overstep your bounds, young lady.
But is it fight milk then that you drink?
Yeah, with real crow.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, fight milk. That's what Mrs. Quigley invented, fight milk.
Yeah, there you go. Muscle milk.
I'm thinking people are liking the Miss Quigley avatar. I was gonna come on camera, but I don't know. This is kind of killing it right now.
They're loving the hairdo.
I think I can find out how to watch that show, you guys, and I might do a little podcasty tingy on it.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting. Don't spoil me.
Oh.
Yes, thank you, Chrissy of Old Stones. I love when people are sarcastic. I really do. Yeah. After my own heart. See, I'm being sarcastic right now.
Sarcasm at its finest. But yeah,
What are we
Emily,
talking
like,
about? Y'all agree with Miss Wells on not taking her in? Because it's going to cause conflict later for sure. It's already kind of.
Well, because it's played out in the second episode that we're covering about what's gonna go down, presumably. But yeah, if someone left your house or whatever, you left your quote unquote friend group for the better friend group, and then they want to come back.
It's really
like a family too, though.
Yeah, like Mrs. Wells takes care of her, and that's what she says. She's like, "Well, you're under my roof, I'll protect you, but if you leave," like, that's the thing. Emily went to Mrs. Wells' enemy's house. It's not like, so, and now she's trying to come back. I mean, I can see why she would say, she did it in the most tasteful way that she could. She gave her a little money. She said, stay off the streets, but like, no, you can't come back here. You don't get to just like come back and forth. She knows what Mrs. Quigley's house is like. So, I mean,
how do you know she's not a spy? Too.
That's true too. Mrs. Quigley's, she's ruthless like that. So, yeah, she doesn't want the drama, and there's that potential. There's like, and she knew that
it's okay. I have plans for Emily Lacey.
She'd come around looking for her too, is the other thing, because she knows how she is. So she didn't want to have her in the house when Lydia comes looking. So
so okay, watch this show as well as watch Vikings, because I know Johnny and I think Justin are going to talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, Berserker brunch tomorrow, and I just got to read Southside Kate's comment. Okay, well, I'll get back to watching some Vikings since I still haven't seen this show. ... But I heard the phrase treasonous cunny, so I'm gonna sign up for my free Hulu trial and be ready next time. You're gonna get addicted to it, Southside Kate. Like, you think it's just like just for females? It's not just for females. It's just a fucking good show, and it's awesome. Thank you, Erin, for turning me on to this asshole.
I'm like super picky about stuff that I spend my time watching, so usually I like to think that I have good taste. I just have particular taste.
Well, yeah, you don't want to spend your time watching like pointless stuff, like unless it's meant to be your pointless show that you like end up just like watching. Because we all have the same time in the day, but how we spend it varies depending on what you got else going on. But yeah, this is fun to kind of talk about this show because, like I've said multiple times before, there's not really much lore that goes behind it. It's just like, oh well, we're thrust into this situation and we'll see what happens. But
I mean, there's the lore of the Cunny since the beginning of time, and I like.
The
Okay,
lore
so
and
I
the lure.
promise, in a couple of weeks, I will make up a whole backstory behind the lore of the Cunny, and then
Should,
why it all leads to the Cunny riots.
Do a
Oh my-
backstory on Mrs. Quigley. We need to
Oh my
know
God.
her origin.
After we finish the derriere debates for Game of Thrones, do the derriere debates about Harlots. Like
Heck
a one-off
yeah.
episode where it's like, who has the best? Like, we just do
Oh
it.
man, that'd be a fun one.
Like, who had, yeah, that'll be quite fun.
Giggity, as Peter would say.
But yeah, we're talking about, going back to what we were talking about, which was, yeah, with also Margaret Wells too, she also just made a truce with Mrs. Quigley too. So she's not just all of a sudden going to take back one of now her girls. It's like, not, just don't want to work like that. Like that whole thing as well. So it's one of those situations where it's like, also too, we have to have somebody on the outside for this as well. We can't have them all like within the houses. We have to have like people on the streets, like being bad and whatever, and also kind of more or less explore what will become of like, which is in this next episode, about like the whole Nancy and how she treats like the people that are under her roof as well. Dark mother clutching non-existent pearls.
Oh my dear.
But
Look, okay, so let's go. So we're gonna get back a little bit to this laudanum experience. Do you want me to throw that on your plate right now? Because by all rights, as soon as she did that, I was like, he is dead. But also, you got to think about what laudanum is. It's pretty commonplace, and he's getting so drunk on it. And honestly, he is the most gullible thing, and has been coddled by his mother. It's very, very unbelievable. He would be a good millennial. I will tell you that much.
Charles, yeah.
But
he's such a little fat face, little.
well, I don't know how he puts his trust in Emily Lacey. I guess he's in love with her. You could say that. It's a real weird, misplaced love, but he just trusts her, and then, oh, let me have the bottle of laudanum. Because she's not a harlot, and she hasn't deceived you yet, right? He's just, by all rights, he should be dead, but we know he doesn't die. Mommy comes and French kisses him back to life. I did French kiss my son back to life. And if you have a problem with it, come and see me. Catch me outside. How about that? Well, where was that? Anyways, this laudanum experience. Yeah, that was really jacked up. I was kind of hoping he would die because it would be a really good thing. But also, this is a rebirth of his character, I think, too.
Yeah. Plus, because we put these two episodes together, spoilers for like an hour from now when we talk about what happens at the end. But with you can't have two of the main male actors just be cut off of the show for like within 2 episodes. Like, it just, if it was a mini series, sure, but because we have like more seasons of the show, it would be like, what? So you're gonna take like, this isn't really Game of Thrones where you can't cut off 2 female or male characters and be like, how do they deal with it? Just like Mary Cooper, yeah, sure, whatever. But the people that we've gotten used to, it's like, maybe not so much.
And I think that we're all happier with the one who went. So
yes, unless you're the closeted George Howard fan out there, not what to say about that one.
Well, I don't think George Howard is even dead. You know, he's gonna wake up on
to a White Walker.
Oh my god!
He'll be the first zombie, and this is how the zombie apocalypse really began. It's just a slow infestation of George Howards throughout time, and then they're gonna take over the world.
Yeah, it's
and
like
we'll be ruled by George Howard.
It's like, forget the Night King, forget Craster. You got to worry about George Howard coming back. You know,
George Howard for Night King.
Fucking go back to what the hell he did to Margaret. Holy shit, man. I mean,
Margaret.
she gets him back a little bit. I mean, calls him out in public. I guess it's all from
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Why am I saying Margaret? Probably got them boobies on the brain. But Charlotte was y'all don't look at me right now. But Charlotte, son of a bitch. Yeah, he just punched her in the stomach really hard and got to it. He pulled another scissor move. I mean, this guy is the least masculine man I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. He's right.
Yeah. He even rapes like a bitch. Oh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. But I would, this is gonna all be pinned on Margaret. Not Margaret, god damn it. The boobies on the mind. It's all gonna be pinned on Charlotte.
Yeah, there you go.
More than likely.
Yeah, right.
Because she had the public falling out. She has the motive. And she was in the high society setting when that shit happened. Y'all go ahead. I'll shut the hell up now.
Was that in episode 5 when she got raped?
Yeah, because Howard dies in episode 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because they go.
Because they find out about Huxley. Because because they have like a conversation. Charlotte and Huxley have Haxby have the conversation about like how it's like you got Charlotte Wells for free or whatever, and he walks in.
Yeah.
And stuff like it was one of those like moments or whatever. Where that happened.
And he's like trying to rip her dresses, but his weak ass can't even like tear her fabric. I love that. I was like, that's just like a prime example of you, George Howard. Like you can't even tear the dress.
Actually, tear this for me.
And then walks away. Yeah.
But Charlotte's been out trying to find a new keeper. That's like a big part of episode 5 is she's out.
Getting too old. Which I know that's weird for me to say, and you'll be like, "Oh, you're a sexist, Johnny," but no. But in this world, it's a thing.
Lord Repton says to her, he's like, oh well, you're just sitting right in front of his wife. He's like, oh well, you're just, you're too old for my, my sport or whatever.
To be fair, a privateer was eating his wife's box at the time. He was. He was going down on her during the conversation.
The Irish pirate. But no, they have that kind of awkward moment. Also, she meets up with his friend too. Like she's out walking around and his friend, old Crispy or whatever, he takes her for a ride and then he tries to bang her in the bushes and she's like,
no.
She's like, I'm not just, some,
cheap
girl
one.
Yeah, you have to keep me. And he was like, oh no, my wife would never have that. And
she cut off my manhood.
Yeah, cut off my manhood. What little you have left.
Yeah.
Charlotte always has the good lines. Yeah. I think we're killing Chrissy of Holstones tonight. Like, I'm getting it good.
Hey, Catherine.
Catherine Harding, the water champ, staying hydrated for the masses. She drank so much water, we don't even need to drink none. She keeps humanity hydrated.
Yeah.
Catherine's like, how did this happen?
Stay hydrated. Yeah. Well, Peter Griffin brought up a point, but I don't know if she's in the show or not, but it looks like Marcella, I don't know if it's old, it must have been old Marcella Baratheon is in this show and that she looks different now.
You mean that trollop that's running around?
I think so.
With like the swords and shit on it. If she is, poor Marcella Baratheon has grown up to not look too good.
The one girl that has like the one guy that she likes?
I think so. Clarify.
Please, no. Please tell me she didn't grow up to look like that. I'm being really mean right now.
Like she's like really drank a lot of gin.
And crack wasn't even invented yet.
She's rode hard and hung out wet. Yeah, that's what you say. Yeah, she's had.
He said we were talking about a different show. I was like, you about blew my mind, y'all. I was like, what happened to her? We're gonna see her on fucking VH1 behind the music or behind the odds, whatever you want to say. One of those
I think
shows.
she's cute in like a weird, like
Yeah,
white
but
trash
she's no
kind of way.
Marcella Baratheon.
No, I mean,
I think it's like I think the one I was thinking about was like season 1 Marcella Baratheon, like the one that was like the little girl until they had to switch actors, whatever. Because I know they had to age up Tom and Marcella. But
even though I think that girl would have aged up just fine, but
right. So she's in the show Servant, which you're trying to watch, Johnny. That's what they're talking about. That's who they're talking about with Marcella is in that show. Okay, now that makes sense.
I've been very rude. I've been cutting off Erin and cutting off you. I'm just making bunches of jokes, and this is gonna like. Okay, so I say this all the time, probably because I'm such an awful person. And I'm basically, you come to me first, comedy, and I know things sometimes. But yeah, if anybody wants to call me sexist, go ahead. You can take some shit out of context tonight. I look forward to that fight. But honestly, I don't know. Fuck it. I am not, sacrificing my comedy. So
No.
I'm going to stay on that. And y'all can deal with it,
He's on his bullshit.
Yeah, that's what it is.
People are just too dang sensitive. But yeah, we got Quigley, and yeah, she's the son and everything. But she also has this other subplot with Lord Repton and
the Spartans.
how
These sons of bitches keep wanting me to get a girl. Now I have one.
and basically how she has to procure young virgins for the government, essentially. And yeah, it's not going so hot, especially with the end of the last episode, what she finds. But yeah, Mrs. Quigley, this is how she makes her money. God dang
Here's
it.
what happened, I think. I think they kind of lay this out, but so the last one she took to her looks like she got killed. And from what I'm gathering, this is like some fraternal brotherhood, skull and bones, old school Illuminati, whatever, something like that.
Mhm.
And like Benjamin Franklin was in a sex cult like this.
Mhm.
I can't remember the name of that fucking cult, but they some caves, I can't remember, haunted caves, whatever, fuck, I can't remember what it is now, but damn it, it's really famous. Anyways, everybody that's in that group is gonna have to kill someone now. Because they all have to get their hands dirty with the same sin or the same, because it seems to be a hedonistic cult. This goes back to what's his name that's with God dang it, what's the youngest girl's name? Youngest of
Lucy?
daughters, Lucy.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Lacey for some stupid fucking reason. But
Well,
Lucy,
Emily Lacey.
Lord
So
Fallon, she's going to be Persephone, and I think that's going to actually be some foreshadowing that she's going to end up having to go with Lord Fallon. She'll go in and out. Persephone had to spend a certain amount of time in Hades, with Hades in hell, and then she got a certain amount of freedom, but it was because she ate of the pomegranate that the curse befell her, and I think this is what's going to happen. Long shot with Lucy. With the cult, I think Lord Fallon's definitely a part of it. We know that. That's the only one that I know of that Quigley, myself, knows that's in there. That's the only name she's gotten, but he doesn't seem to be that high up. But this guy is scary. What do y'all think about him, man? I got some Christian Bale, American Psycho vibes from him.
Totally. Yeah, I can agree with that evaluation. I think he's kind of sexy, but I'm weird. But
in a funny way. Yeah, like I feel like this is obviously going into the next episode, but we kind of George Howard was your season 1 arc in terms of you got to have the bad guy of this show. Like that's our main key plot thread. Go. So then you bring in Lord Fallon for like the next part of these last 2 episodes and then throughout season 2, like, and plus there was a whole thing of what was the reason why, besides the obvious, that Lucy had stabbed George Howard and all of these other things like that. We'll probably investigate into next week and the weeks after, but it could be for some weird reason, and the fact that there's still the and all of this other things. That now I can't talk for a second, but I think, like you're saying, Johnny, that he's gonna be unveiled as like the bad man, moving forward, and that Lucy will probably have to go with him because there's no other man at this moment that's paying as high of a price for her Maestro Howard.
Erin, you're smiling about something, so go ahead, spill the beans. What you got there?
Oh, nothing. Mackenzie's just right in what she's saying.
She wants to get those major plot lines.
I did it one time with Vikings, and then Justin like called me out on that. She's like, "Hey," because I predicted something about Vikings, which was not super very complex. I was like, I just threw it out there, and then I was like, "What?" So now sometimes I make odd predictions, and some of them come true. Kind of like check out Cylon Johns. But we should be back this week anyway. This next season's gonna be, or this last 2 episodes will be quite interesting now that we've got our main bad guy out of the way. But before we talk more about that, we get Haxby and stuff is basically not fired, but he gets reprimanded by George. He's been like, "Why did you do this?" Sort of thing. Like, you've been in my service for so long, and there's rumblings though that the wife was gonna come back. I think she was coming back soon, because the mention of the dinner party. But he's like, she's not showing up for the dinner party.
Well, let me go back really quick to Lucy and why I think she's definitely going to have to go with Lord Fallon now. Basically, for what happened with Howard the Duck, he is she's dead. Got to get all suspicion off her. Best way to get suspicion off her is to give her to someone that wants her and wants to pay an exorbitant amount of money for her, and she won't be questioned at that point. She'll be out of that line of sight. Plus, you got myself, Quigley. I'm going to be looking for a way when this body turns up. I'm going to be like, yeah, I saw him go in there. So I'm going to be ratting on fools.
She's out there watching them, and she's got the scan walls watching, closely, like everything that's going on. So
was that like some kind of pun? Because she's blind? Is that who you're talking about?
Scanwell.
No, but that was a good one. I'm too groggy to make jokes.
Oh no. But yeah, and then there's also Pip just lurking in the I can never remember that character's name, but you got Pip lurking in the shadows too.
I call him the only random gay gypsy in the show.
Totally.
Basically. Dark Mother says, Johnny, that she appreciates when you tell us that your comments are meant to be humorous.
I just assume everything he says is meant to be humorous.
Yeah. Most stuff that Johnny says
never get taken seriously, and that's why. House Lorbridge, you lovely. I swear I just saw you a minute ago.
Yeah, she said she would be back.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Black Heart Special.
Black Heart Special. Catelyn Stark, the best mother or bestest mother in Westeros. We did debate about that on
the greatest woman to ever live.
On Johnny's channel a while ago, actually. Probably about a year ago now. We did a great debate on whether. Huh?
Oh, well, we did do that. But more recently, did one with KCC of House Lorbridge because,
She's
Whatever.
You be safe, Casey. It's a snowstorm where she is.
Oh no! Like
She says
yeah,
was. Maybe
Oh,
she's
was
safe
okay. Yeah, you
now.
better be home now.
and Peter
Don't
Griffin.
die watching us.
Peter Griffin says 10 and 2. Exactly. That's right. Keep your hands on the steering wheel.
Oh, I was like, what does October 2nd mean?
With a car emoji. Driving back in time. Or forward in time, depending on how you write the date on things. But yeah, we got the dinner party, and that's just kind of. But you were talking about Lucy and Lord Fallon, Johnny. So.
Oh yeah, we'll
finish
go
your
back
thought.
to the dinner party though. I did finish my thought. I'm pretty sure I did anyway.
Oh.
Either way, back to the dinner party. Yeah, I mean, this is a good opportunity for Charlotte to call him out in public. I mean, he can't beat her ass in the middle of the room there, and she has people that respect who she is. You know, it's just because you're a harlot doesn't mean you're not respected. Yes, you're put in a certain box.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, some people eat that box, some people don't. But
Johnny.
Tastes like French churned butter.
you know, you make friends. You know, she's a very, very sociable and personable person.
And she caters to, like, you know, the upper class. I mean, obviously they're not allowing just any harlots around. It's not like the nasty ones. She caters to the upper class and the upper echelon of
the
men.
upper room.
Yeah. And exactly like when she's because because when she admits to the fact that she was raped by George, that the room goes silent. It's not like one of those things where like only the women would have been concerned. Like everybody just stops what they're doing and just like looked at him and looked at him in a different light. They're like, wait, what? So we know that we can understand that your wife's not here and you have your harlot around, but now that she's admitted to us, basically a bunch of strangers, that you're so controlling that you ended up raping her before she came here, like that doesn't sit very well. And that's when they're like, all right, gotta change the mood, go to the drawing room, and the rest of them just like deal with it. But yeah, like
If you're such a shitbag that the person you pay to have sex with you doesn't want to have sex with you and you have to rape her, that's definitely an issue.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird dynamic, because even though, like, they all know Howard's kind of a piece of crap, and even though, like, it's acceptable societal, like, behavior to keep a harlot, even like a well-kept mistress or whatever, that still kind of makes him look like a piece of crap, because all of them know of his wife and know that she's like a highborn lady. And then when he shows up to the thing and he doesn't bring her, they're like, you know, all right, this wasn't, you know, that kind of event. It's a weird, like, it's a different mindset in that society. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, she still has respect as a woman of the night, I guess, as a professional, like you might say. It's kind of a weird, it's just a weird dynamic.
Or as she told, I can't remember his name, she's like morning, evening, afternoon, and evening. It's not just one time a day. It's all times.
Yeah, it's whenever he wants. She's always on call, and that's her job. And I don't know. I mean, that would be kind of exhausting. But I mean, she doesn't have the hardest job in the world. She doesn't have as hard of a job as the other harlots that are out there. Just like, but that's another thing they point out with, like, Lucy, when she starts being snarky that one time. She's like, I don't want to live like Fanny and the other girl, you know. That's the difference. Yeah, like Charlotte and Lucy have the opportunity to live a more comfortable life with, you know, more money and you know, nice things, and live in a nice house where they're not having to, you know, work on the streets and that kind of thing. So that's what they're working towards. It's a weird thing, but yeah. Anyways, off topic.
Fanny's like, what's that TLC show? I didn't know I was pregnant.
Yeah.
That's the whole. That's what we got going on with her. Good thing she just didn't give birth in a toilet. Have you seen that show? The show is insane.
Yeah, that show, it's like on odd hours of the day.
Sorry
But it's
for
crazy. Like, yeah, like some people, yeah, they're like, it's in a bathroom or, yeah, like, it's just crazy sometimes, that show.
I think it's crazy that Fanny's trying to wear her freaking corset while she's all pregnant like that. I'm like, I couldn't
Like,
even,
how?
I can't even
that
pretend
baby's
like
definitely
that
gonna
would.
have an elongated skull.
Oh no.
I can't even believe it. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, like, and especially too when Frenchie is like, "You're pregnant," and she's like, "No." But she obviously knows deep down that she is, and it's one of those things. It's like, "I'll keep your secret," and then there's
She's
that
like,
whole.
no, I just love me honey buns.
Yeah, it's like,
so sweet. I love Fanny.
it's like, no.
And apparently, women taste like butter when they're
fresh
pregnant.
butter. She's like eating butter right off the dish.
She acts like nothing's even going on, so I don't know
I
what
know.
he's doing, but
I mean,
Fanny's just living her life. That's her profession. She's like, oh yeah, you're doing a great job. She likes Mr. Armitage, let's be clear.
yeah,
Peter Griffin said, "Oh, Conehead."
oh no. Yeah, but it's, you see in this, when the episode where they kind of reveal that she is, that there's obviously that separation between the real working girls and like Lucy and her mother, and it comes to kind of a head obviously in episode 6. But yeah, the reveal that she is, and yeah, like you said, having her wear the corset that just makes me just shiver like a little bit, because most people, they can't handle that, or they would just do like a shorter one. But yeah, and obviously, it's revealed to the other girls, and then she goes when they go out. So she's going out for, yeah, it's like going out for condoms, but she's actually going to, I guess, a midwife, so to speak, or some lady doctor that they have, and she finds out that it's not just, she's just gotten pregnant, that like her baby is about to be born.
Yeah.
And
She's
that's
like, you can feel the head.
And the spine, and it's
Yeah.
just,
I thought I just had gas.
yeah, and that would be freaky, to find out that it's not just you are, but the fact that you are about to, and in your profession you cannot have one baby, and like, cause she said she'd get kicked out for having this baby, and she's so freaked out about it that it in some ways affects her job in the next episode, where she becomes more emotional and stuff, where it becomes in tune with her emotions. But poor Fanny. No.
Yeah, that's the whoops. Yeah, she gets a little nervous that Mrs. Wells will kick her out. I guess that's probably policy. I don't know what the rules are. I mean, I know that Kitty has a daughter and she doesn't live, she lives with her sister. Mm-hmm. And so all the money that Kitty earns, she sends to her daughter. So I don't know what the rules are really,
But then that calls into question her whole thing with Harriet, though, which I'll let Johnny talk about this too. But with the fact of how she's willing to pay for the children. So then what happens when the children show up? Like, I guess that obviously changes when that storyline comes back into the fold.
It does. I'll tell you that much.
But what do you think, John?
Harriet. Who's Harriet? Is Harriet the one trying to get her kids back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's fucked up, but that guy's gotta die. So, yeah. It's about as simple as that. She gotta go get them babies back. He don't know what he's doing. He's a self-entitled American slave owner that I guess this is why, Europeans hate Americans. I don't know. I mean, whatever. I was hoping Mr. North would have just beat his ass, but that didn't happen.
You never know. It might next episode beat him up.
Oh, I think
I
he
think
is. I think.
Well, that's what you know. What that's the thing about the position that he's in, because that kid would just love it if Mr. North tried to kick his ass. But they do have a little meeting at the coffee house where they're discussing the finances, and then they do discuss Harriet, and he's like, the kid acts really offended that Mr. North is even sitting at the table with them, and he's like, I was like a born and a free Englishman, so go fuck yourself, basically. But he's still respectful and aware of the situation. Hold on, I've got a stowaway invading. Hold on.
Yeah.
I've got to stow away invading. There are stowaways. Yes. They're evil. No.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
so with Mr. North has a meeting, and he basically puts whatever his name is, Mr. Levinson, the new kid, in his place. And Johnny, you can talk about Mr. North if you want.
Oh, well,
how
Mr.
awesome
North
he is.
in general, he's good at disposing of bottles. He's good at confronting assholes. And, he just stands by his woman. And I have a feeling, his storyline's going to get a lot more complex than it is. And his true character and what he's been through will be revealed at some point. And I'm kind of looking forward to that. Because he's like that quiet assassin. He doesn't say anything unless it has great importance. He just, soaks it all in. It's just, kind of the perfect match for Mrs. Wells, honestly. And they counterbalance each other with their personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Good when you can find someone like that.
Yeah, and especially too with having to eventually conceal George Howard and be the one to dispose of his body later, and all of that. Like Mr. North is a G in this show. He's probably one of the most underrated but highly rated characters that's in this show. Like, yes, he gets screen time, but hey, when he's on the screen, commands the presence. Oh,
I've got an angry one.
it's okay. But yeah, we get the meeting, and it doesn't really go very well. It's like, I'll pay you money now, and then the repayment, because he wants to go back to America.
America.
And they figure out in some way that they'll be repaid, which doesn't work out very well. But let me see. They get the repayments, and it's just one of those situations where you're like, oh no. And what was the other thing? And yeah, he still owns his siblings, and they're his slaves, but I don't think for very long. Like, that storyline kind of got wrapped up in by the end of the season. But yeah, Mr. North. And then, because that's kind of like where we leave with them with that episode, and then obviously the next episode is dealing with
Erin, I see you keep trying to unmute.
Go ahead, Erin.
I know you got something to say over there.
No, I was trying to, but they're just screaming on the other side of the door.
It's okay.
So
it's like a soundtrack.
The soundtrack to my life.
Or as House Lorbert says, that's the child battle cry. Mm-hmm. They're just excited about Vikings, they're just screaming,
It would be. Fiona's here to talk about Harlots. She's a little high.
What do you think about Harlots?
Fiona?
She likes Fanny.
Whatever you do, stay away from Lord Farquaad.
Oh no. But basically, yeah, we kind of end the episode with George Howard being shamed, and then I guess we'll talk about the next episode. Because we missed like a not a big section, but it's like the with Amelia, and she's just doing the Lord's work, taking care of her mama, who apparently has a fever. And I don't know if this was put in or like as a soundtrack element, or it was just how she wrung the towel. But it sounded like when she put the towel on her head, on her mother's head, that it actually like hissed for a second. I was like, what? It's like not like how people just like put it on and it just goes away, but it's like
That's because the devil
Holy water.
burning up her body inside of her. Let's see, we're on the same level there. But like, I think there was some kind of goo put on old Buddy's forehead after he OD'd that burnt his forehead up. But I can't remember what the hell it is. I don't know if that she put something on her head.
I think the doctor put some kind of poultice on on Charles's head
to draw out the medicine, the bad stuff.
Rhubarbs, rose thorns, and I think goose nipples.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Okay.
I don't think geese have nipples.
It's got the old magic books of Valeria.
That's right. And if you can find me a goose nipple, somebody find me a goose nipple. They're really hard to find. It's a nipple on a goose.
Those
Good
things
luck
are
with
tough.
Yeah.
Tougher than beaks.
They're chewy for sure.
Yeah, geese. I don't know what's going on back there. But Otila is asking if we've talked about Amelia's first kiss. No, we haven't.
Oh, which kiss was
Didn't
it?
we
Which
talk about that
set of lips?
No, I don't know if we talked about it today or not. I don't know if she's mentioning it today or I think we might have last week.
Would she say what is Mrs. Quigley said? She's like, I can't remember what she said. She was something about line to her though. She was like something about tongue kissing black harlots at a masquerade ball or something. Her whole line was just so like epic. And then she just storms off or whatever. She's trying to have like some juice on those two, and they're so honest with each other that now like Mrs. Scanwell told her daughter basically what her past was, and now they're like, she's like, you have no hold over me.
Yeah, because I think that was before then, and she's like, because she wanted to try and get out of the contract, but she's like, but your mother's gonna find about what you did, and then she like backs off.
Oh, can I say really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
This woman's dying anyway, and she is a selfish piece of shit to be like, well, I'm not gonna leave because Miss Quigley will kill me, and that'll make my daughter sad. But she also probably threatened to take her away, and there's an underlying threat. But she still should try to get away. I mean, she told her daughter everything, and then this is just gonna, I don't know. This is good at crushing spirits here, and she's giving up and thinking that God's gonna do everything for her, which is, you got to do some stuff for yourself sometimes, and she's trying to, but she gets. It's a question of faith with her, too. Mm-hmm. She's that afraid of death. But, has she fully repented? I don't know. Getting deep and weird here. Whatever.
No, I mean, yeah, it's like, because she keeps saying that it's God's will, it's God's will, it's God's will. But what about your own will? And I missed this comment from Dark Mother who says, Mr. Norris sounds like a Tarantino character.
He really is. Samuel L. Jackson could probably play him, but only thing is Samuel L. Jackson would scream every time he talks, so that wouldn't work. That's why I couldn't do it, because he's not soft-spoken enough. But other than that, yeah, it's like a soft-spoken Samuel Jackson. Look here, motherfucker.
I'd say he's more like a Idris Elba.
Tila, she said she thought it was episode 5. No, it was episode 4 during the hedonistic party they had at Mrs. Wells' brothel that they
Yeah.
ended up
Mhm.
sleeping together. And this was the aftermath we see in episode
They didn't
5 and
sleep
through
together. They
6.
just had a
Well,
little fun.
whatever. They kissed and
I mean,
scissored.
there's a big difference.
Come on, they scissored. Don't lie. Oh, scissor me. But
Oh my God.
I honestly, I think it was a good thing. She's gonna explore her character, and what is interesting, I know she's attracted to this particular female. But has she ever kissed a boy before? Will she go
Probably.
through some different experiences throughout this? Will this be like, will her story throughout these 3 seasons, which maybe this is just dumb and Captain Obvious of me, will be basically the journey of her sexuality and her discovering herself and who she is, along with having to deal with some bullshit with her whore mother, her former whore mother. I'm sorry, the blind cunny of 1843.
No, yeah,
All
I
right,
think
shut up now.
no, don't worry about it. I think
Be
it's
right
one of
back.
okay. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be one of those where we'll have to have a character that kind of explores themselves and their sexuality as well. Like, she probably never had male attention before. Her mother's a crazy psycho blind woman who yells at people, or at least yells at Mrs. Wells' house. Um, they're probably not like well off either. So for her trying to find a suitable male husband would be quite hard and difficult. Plus, I don't think her mother would want to let her go. Her mom seems like one of those ones that is just like, you're gonna stay with me until the very end, kind of thing.
They definitely explore this. Oh, excuse me, a little more in season 2. With
You're
her
excused.
and with a male character and sort of what her mother's looking for her. They expand on that a lot in season 2, but it is, I don't know. For me, I felt, well. Anyways, we'll talk about this more.
We'll get
But yeah,
cross that bridge when we get there.
but yeah, no, she hasn't really, encountered anything of that nature or had like, suitors and that kind of thing, because her mom really has kind of, but they don't have money. They're poor, and that's a huge reason why they're stuck at Lydia's house. She's stuck in this deal that she has with her, because they don't have really anywhere else to go, and that's another thing that they'll explore in season 2 also, is like,
The only money they got is what they can carry in their cunny. It's not much.
And those things are tight.
I'm awful. I'm just a piece of shit human being. But
Coin purses are tight.
I'm telling you, well, you got a real virgin, and then you got literally just a reborn virgin. It's actually a thing too, because if it doesn't happen for long enough, just whatever. What are we talking about here? I'm sorry.
You tell, Johnny.
Yeah, so I've regained my
tell us all you
virginity.
know about the female.
I've got my hymen has came back.
It comes back? What? No, I'm joking.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
Oh no. But yeah, I think we talked about like everybody for this episode, but if not, we can flip flop because
Did I run everybody out of the chat again? Damn.
No, we're doing all right.
No, we'll be fine. There's still 8 people who want to watch this crazy show go down. So
I want to watch us talk about this.
This, where I'm looking at this recap from, it starts off with Lucy. I mean, we can talk about Lucy or Margaret, Mr. North, Miss Quigley, or the Scanwells, or whichever, wherever we want to talk about.
Wait, weren't we talking about the Scamwells?
The Scamwells. Okay. they basically, this is where obviously she breaks down about, it's in this episode where she breaks down about the fact that she used to know Mrs. Quigley in different circumstances, and that her blindness is God's punishment for her being a harlot, and that's how she equates her blindness.
She's right. I mean, if there is a God, he made chlamydia, and she got it. I mean, that's messed up, but think about that. If God is real, he made chlamydia. I'm not saying God's not real. I'm just saying, like, yeah. The world is a weird, strange place.
As you say, with Mrs. Quigley's.
Anyways, me.
And that then Florence, the older lady, she basically says that she's no longer going to try and work for her anymore. And I think in this part of it where it's like where she, I think though.
Yeah, she tells her. So she says, "Oh, me and my daughter, I'm unburdened, and I've told my daughter, that about my past, and you can't hold that over me anymore," kind of thing, and basically tells Lydia that she doesn't want to live in that house and she doesn't want to work for her anymore. And then Lydia turns around and basically threatens her with how that her daughter is, like a beautiful virginal girl, and she could take her basically split, and like what's Mrs. Scanwell gonna do? She can't see anything, she can't take care of herself or anything like that. So she basically threatens her, and then Mrs. Scanwell's like, never mind, I'm your servant, kind of thing. It's pretty bad.
And also the whole time too is when they're watching from the Scanwell's window about because she's also looking for Emily Lacey at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where they're like peering out the window. But Peter Griffin says, "Poor koalas." Yeah, I know, the poor koalas with the chlamydia. I know they're they're like I think they're like one of the most animals, or one of the only animals that's the most susceptible to that disease.
Cats get it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cats put on
Cats get in their eyes.
No, but it just says like cats. It's like some like my cat. But yeah.
That beautiful chlamydia disease. I mean, gnarly sexual creatures get it. Except dolphins. Dolphins make their own condoms through sonar. It's like a soundproof condom. So they just go boop, 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 and it covers. Anyways, look into that. Dolphins are pretty cool. Joe Rogan says they're smarter than him, which I may believe.
They're smarter than humans.
Well, I mean, they are telepathic. Can you say that about? I mean, I have some weird ESP moments occasionally. Well, far too often, but I wouldn't say it's anything spectacular. I think everybody can tap into it a little bit, but dolphins are on another level. And then, when I start to mumble like this and I get tired, everything mumbles together. Sorry.
No,
anyways, this is what Mrs. Quigley really sounds like without the voice modulator.
So we can talk about this later, but I feel like your harlots with septum ordained as Mrs. Quigley.
Yeah, more than likely.
But yeah, you get those.
Or Mrs. Wells.
Or Mrs. Wells. But yeah.
Oh, Mrs. Wells was just on another level.
Another, like
Mrs. God.
It's just one pray to the God of Mrs. Wells. But another like character that we can kind of go by that her scenes aren't very long is Harriet, and basically her sort of stepbrother. This is when he shows up to the Wells household, and he's like, doesn't want to buy back the kids, or it's like, no, they have to pay more money for them. And it's when he realizes that she's now working with the Wells as a harlot, so he kind of makes fun of that. And then he's like, no more of you. Like, Mr. North comes and it's like, no more of you today, and like basically kicks him out of the house.
I mean, but for real, this all boils down to, I'm going to throw this back to you, Sasa, but this boils down to, we find out what the root cause of all his anger and hatred is. One, slave owner, okay, from America. So you got that ingrained from you when from when you're a child. You think these are lesser beings. He calls mongrels, the kids mongrels. And when his mother was on her deathbed, Harriet and her father got together. She consoled him naturally. She probably didn't have much of a choice. She was his slave, right? And he freed her at the end. Or, well, basically his son freed her because the papers weren't signed. But he blames her for that. I don't know why though, but I mean it's just something for him to blame his mother's death on because he's young and he doesn't understand that people just die.
It could be that she was like ailing and it's been like a while, or it could have been quick that she died, but he probably knew that they were behind the scenes. There was something going on between those two characters, those two people, and then it just maybe her death was then accelerated because of maybe she found out herself. I don't know. It's probably one of those situations.
It's probably just something, yeah, you'd be naturally like bitter at, and especially being, in his position, he's a slave owner, and he very, he makes it very clear that he thinks less of his slaves, unfortunately, and even
He'll
of
die
his
in the
mother
finale.
and sister. And yeah, it's just that was like the mindset then, unfortunately, but yeah, I think that it probably just stems back to that because he thinks that his father was basically like, I can't think of the word right now, but he was just slumming basically right when his mom was dying, kind of thing.
Do you think I mean, when you first watched this, Erin, how did it make you feel to see how he treated his blood brother and sister? Even though I guess half brother and half sister, but same father. I guess he also had contempt for his father as well. He didn't really like him as much. We saw their arguments with that. I don't know. Just I want to know your feelings when you first saw this because this was tough for
It's
me.
really, yeah, it's hard. It's harsh but I kind of, I wanted to feel in my gut that like he wouldn't do that he was just kind of toying with her, and using them, because they are his property technically, just kind of using them as leverage to sort of toy with her just out of vengeance, especially once we find that out about like how he feels towards her because of when his mom was dying. I think that it was just a way for him to kind of get that last jab in there. And it's almost like how he signed the freedom papers. I mean, yeah, that was kind of him to do. That's another thing that leads me to believe he's kind of toying with her because he was good enough to give her the freedom papers. He didn't have to do that, especially if he's trying to stock up slaves for the plantation or whatever. He could have taken her back there, no problem. But I think that it's more of just a power play and his sort of first like experience and ability to be able to do something like that to someone because he just inherited all this power. It's gross, it's gross is what it is, but he
hates her, right? Like even if he would, let's say he takes her home to America, every time, just based off what he said, every time he probably sees her, he thinks about his mother dying. So it probably in no way am I trying to say that he's good. I'm just trying to humanize this character, which he is a human piece of shit. but he's a human, and you can kind of. This is how you can tell base motivations for shows by looking for the humans in the character, even if they're awful. Sometimes it helps predict stuff. This, to me, it feels like he's gone over the edge, and I hope that he can turn back, but I'm not gonna lie, I feel like he'll kill those kids out of spite to keep her from getting them.
Could be one of those
You know, it
ways.
probably won't happen, but
No,
he's that much
Sounds
desperate
like you've
right
been
now.
watching too much Game of Thrones.
that damn show bleeds into every single other conversation. No, but yeah, there's a thing of like he already could have sent them away, like on a ship. Like he wasn't gonna go after them. Like that could have been one of those things where he collected all the things and then he's just waiting for the money to show up, but he's already sent everything. Although I highly doubt that that's happening.
Meanwhile, Corlys Valerian is throwing his dead carcass into the water halfway around the world in a shy.
Of course, Valerian. Jeez. Oh, man. But yeah, there's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's like Otelis. It's hard to watch, but the more we saw, the more it became clear that he was using those two kids as a weapon. He never considered them as siblings. Yeah, exactly. Like, because he probably views them as just her children, not like his father's children. Almost, it's one of those strange situations, and she obviously goes to Margaret and asks her for more money to give to basically to pay for the children. And she's like, I can't do that because I've already paid for Frenchie's. I've already paid Frenchie's tab today. I can't pay another person's tab just quite yet. And that kind of deepens what will probably become a bigger explosion later on. But then you got everybody's favorite, Lydia Quigley, who basically procures. She's trying to find, obviously, Emily Lacey, and she's being offered to the government as the girl that they're going to use. And for most of her storyline this episode, she's obviously looking for Emily Lacey, hiding out with Amelia and such, but no such luck until somebody gives up. It's like, or the potential idea of someone's going to give this information up. Which
Emily's hiding at Nancy's house. And
I'm hiding in Nancy's room under Nancy's bed. She's told me not to come out of there, but
hey, man,
I'm getting hungry. A little bit thirsty as well.
Polly wants a cracker.
Polly wants a spanking.
What is it? Like twigs or whatever that she uses for her whip.
Yeah. I love it.
A bundle of switches.
Yep. Southern style. Anyways, so yeah, she's got Emily Lacey over there, and she's like, nobody can know that, Emily's here. And then, what happens with George? We kind of have to go into that to sort of complete what goes on with Amy.
Yes, George got penetrated so well.
Well, yeah. Because it kind of begins with Lucy and how in the end of the last episode, it's focusing on like her and where she's going, and basically talks about like how much money that she's going to get from Lord Fallon, which was like $100 for her whenever they agreed to it, then $100 by the weekend, and then $400 a year for her. And because George is just scorned because he got made fun out of the dinner, he's, like Erin said earlier, ripping up or trying to rip up all of Charlotte's clothes, but Charlotte's kind of run away with the Irish not a pirate, but we'll get to that in a minute. And he goes and basically says that I am no longer Charlotte's keeper. I want to have Lucy as my keeper and or be kept by me. And they make arrangements, and basically for about, what do you say, 10 minutes, she's been kept by him until he tries to be as he does, but then gets
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
and
yeah, it's
gets
kind of weird
stabbed.
because like Lucy goes through this moment where like her mom comes to her after Lord Fallon leaves, and he's like super stoked, and you know, he's really into Lucy because she's like, you know, we see in that last episode where she's kind of resistant of him when he's like feeding her the pomegranate seeds. Yeah, it's like pretty sexual. Like I don't know. There's
Swallow it.
Yeah,
Let the
he's like
juice run
putting
down
it in her
your throat.
mouth. Yeah, and then she's kind of like freaked out. She like pushes him away, and he's totally into that. And
Thought I was watching Pornhub for a minute.
yeah, like it was getting real steamy up in there. So and Lucy's put off by it. You know, she's a young girl. She doesn't have a lot of, I mean, you know, we've seen her sexual experiences haven't gone so well, and then he's sort of, you know, he seems like he kind of, I don't know, he's got like these weird like fantasies and that kind of thing, and I don't know, she's just too young for it all really to appreciate it, I guess. But her mom is really excited when Lord Fallon like makes that offer. She's like, yeah, this is like perfect for you. You know, he wants to take care of you. And then she's like, Lucy's like put off by it. She's like, no, I don't, he's kind of weird. He kind of freaks me out, you know? And then, but
his testicles are made of Jews.
But then on the flip side, you know, then George Howard comes in and he's like, I'll be your keeper. And it's like, really, he makes Lord Fallon look a lot better than
exactly, and it's the title difference too, which is quite interesting, because that's a big point of contention with Charlotte and Margaret. Anyways, it's like you gave me to him when you could have rose my station up a bit higher. But yeah, we get
that's
like
a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that at all, actually.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Well, I mean, can I ask y'all, is Lucy really the favorite? Because I think it's more complicated than that, but what do y'all think as of right now? Especially Sasa. I know Erin's seen it all.
Well,
Erin the Oracle. That's what I should call you.
Yeah.
That's Mandy's name.
I know 14 people named the Oracle. We got to think of something new.
We all have oracles of different things.
Here, I don't know.
Mandy's an oracle.
But we get, yeah, like she's the youngest daughter, and she's presumably the middle child because you have Jacob. And usually the middle child technically never usually gets as much attention as Lucy does. They're usually the stereotype about middle children is that they're forgotten about. The more important character is the baby and then the oldest. So the fact that they're kind of breaking that stereotype and focusing so much on Lucy is quite interesting. And she probably is the quote unquote favorite, but then there could be some scene later where you were actually like the real favorite, blah blah blah, like later on. But right now it's being pushed into her faces that she's the favorite. Probably also too, it's like, yeah, there has to be certain wrongs that are put in place. Like there was me, and then like for Margaret, there was me, and then there was you, and then there was Lucy. So then whatever comes after gets a higher and higher station. I mean, yeah, it's hard to kind of put
it
into
makes
words.
you think about things too, because like Margaret, it's not like she got herself a fine keeper to take care of her and that kind of thing in her life. She's still I mean, she's the bod of her house, but I'm sorry about the noise.
No, it's
But, she's doing kind of well in that regard, but really she wants her daughters to do even better than that. So she's trying to do what she can to make that happen. Hold on, I'll be right back. Sorry.
no, it's fine.
Yeah, I honestly think it's more of her trying to relive her childhood through Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of agree with KCC with Charlotte being the favorite, but Lucy is kind of sweet little doll.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, the firstborn is the favorite, but the firstborn you will be more hard on. The firstborn you will teach more tough lessons. The more kids you have, I'm not see.
Mm-hmm.
I speak from some experience. No, I don't have a bunch of kids, but I don't want to get into my personal life. But anyways, you start being a little different with your parenting. You maybe are a little more relaxed. You maybe want to take it a little more easy, or depending on your child, your one child might need more care and attention. Like Lucy seems to be a little bit socially stunted in a sense. She needs a little more help along. Charlotte seems to pick up on things quick. So with a person like Margaret, who is a single mother for the most part, she's got Mr. North now, and she's come up on her own, pulled herself up by her bootstraps. She's got 2 kids to raise, plus doing everything and making her own business. If Charlotte can take care of herself a little bit and she doesn't have to give her as much attention, she's not going to. It's just like the practical thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And Charlotte's still at that age where she's still rebellious. I mean, she's in her early 20s. She still doesn't understand what her mother's actually done and went through. She knows, but she doesn't understand yet. She's starting to.
Yeah, true, and exactly, because also Charlotte was set up to, like, she was already established. Like, you got to kind of push and prod more with Lucy. And I, like, and also she probably feels, again, like, the difference in status. But quickly and swiftly, Margaret decides, like, oh, well, like, now that Charlotte's kind of off on her own, we might as well just slot Lucy into that place. But that doesn't last very long. And
Well, Charlotte also kind of goes through like her resenting feelings of that to the point where she's afraid to even come home. Like, I don't know if you guys talked about that while I was gone, but
no.
she goes to Nancy's, like when she's out looking for different suitors and that kind of thing. She like stops by Nancy's house and like kind of goes to her old neighborhood, and she's going and seeing all these different guys to try and find a new keeper, but she won't go home. And even her mom's like, go home, like your mom will be happy to have you. And she's like, no, she's they're going through this like weird power dynamic. Actually, I kind of can relate to it, so but yeah, she's trying to be her own woman. She feels like she could possibly do better for herself than like what her mom has created for her, and she sees her doing more for her younger sister. So there's a little bit of jealousy, but it's not even necessarily towards Lucy, because we see her and Lucy, like, they get along really well, and Lucy like relies on her a lot for moral support, but at the same time, like, she's got that resentment, those resentful feelings about Lucy, but it's at her mom, it's not at Lucy. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's one of those power dynamics where you're like,
Sometimes I feel like a privateer. That's all I'll say.
But yeah, basically, after George, because Margaret is like, oh, let me just like go mention that you're here, and he's like, no, I want to come up the stairs, and like chases, like goes up the stairs, and he's like, surprise, I'm here, and yeah, so he tries to get his way with Lucy, and Lucy takes it into her own hands and stabs him in the stomach. And, that doesn't last very long because he just gets stabbed, and there's this whole plan that's put put
Y'all
into
want to know
action.
how Mr. George Howard died and how agonizing and painful it was for him to be there. So this is a gut stab wound, right? He didn't get stabbed in the liver, or he would have died pretty quick. If she would have got him on the other side, same location, on the left side of on his right side of his body, he'd have bled out pretty quick. But now he got a gut shot. So all his poop and his intestines got mixed in with his blood. He's starting to get septic at the same time. So his whole blood is just poison at this point. And he's slowly dying. It's one of the worst ways to die. It's one reason they outlawed three-sided blades in World War One, because with bayonets and shit. And they made certain rules on what kind of knives you can use because it's one of the worst ways to die, and it's pretty hard to fix. Even if a surgeon would have got there, I don't know if he would have lived, honestly.
No, probably not. And basically, Margaret says to Kitty that we'll just act like everything's normal, just go and say that he's staying for the day, like to his coachman, and so on and so forth, but pretend that you're actually out. And, well, time passes, and Margaret just decides to take it into her own hands and strangles the man, because he's not dying quick enough, apparently, for her speedy plans. And, yeah, so then they have George Howard dead on this show. The second, like,
Tila, stop parroting me.
the second real death in this show. Yeah, like the second like big death in this show. And yeah,
so Mrs. Wells kind of freaks out because she doesn't want like we were just talking about how Lucy is a little more sensitive. She can't handle, like, if it was Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte got raped by the guy and she didn't stab him with a knife. She's put up with a lot from George Howard, but Lucy's not the same. And so but Mrs. Wells also knows that she wouldn't be able to handle lying, standing up for herself, defending herself. Like if she were to get arrested and have to defend herself against a highborn man, she wouldn't. There's no way that it just wouldn't work. So Mrs. Wells, she's trying to like control the situation, but she knew he needed to die in order for Lucy to live, because otherwise Lucy would definitely go down, but probably Charlotte would probably go down. Like they would tie Charlotte into it and that kind of thing. And so basically Margaret just took control of the situation. She was like, okay, mommy knows best, let me handle this. And she climbed on top of him and held him down and strangled him to death. And she's like, go get Nancy. We need
that's another
Nancy
painful
here.
way to die, almost.
She killed him, right? But I know unless she confesses before they try to pin it on Charlotte, which she may very well do. But I have a feeling this is just going to become his death's going to be used as blackmail in the long run. You better hope I don't find that body. And this is the Afro Miss Quigley talking, okay? So
yeah,
just watch out for that.
Yeah, and basically they have to now they have to stage his exit because it's been hours, and and they know that there's people.
Stage Cunny.
Yes, and they know that there's people watching, and basically they dress him up and ties. I think they tie his legs together so it's easier for them to like walk. And
this is the first two steps in Gandalfalingus, by the way.
And they put him in the coach, and yeah, and then they have to bring Jacob along because they need a little boy with a lantern. But it's like, isn't it past his bedtime? Like that's what I was saying when I was like yelling at the laptop when I was watching this. I'm like, that's probably past his bedtime. What is he doing? And basically, Mr. North, after all of this, has to be the one that disposes the body with Nancy. And
He's
he was
learning. He's learning the street. School's still in session right now.
Daddy's teaching him
Is
best.
he asleep? Yeah, he's asleep. I'm gonna go throw him in the water while he's asleep. Like the kid's not gonna ask questions.
it's like he's like fast asleep. He's like as he has him lumped over his shoulders, like fast
That'll
asleep.
probably be their undoing. The
Um,
kid. The kid's always undoing.
yeah.
Kids don't lie and they talk.
Jacob's a good little boy.
Damn kids and TV shows. But yeah, they basically have it planned out to make it look like it was a bunch of thieves just came upon him and just stabbed him. But you know that's not going to work out too well. And they took Nancy with them as well, which I believe leads to at the end of this episode with Emily Lacey being taken away because Margaret Wells obviously reveals that she's at Nancy's house. So
Yeah.
Emily Lacey's back with Mrs. Quigley.
No spoilers, Casey C. I haven't seen past episode 6. Don't kill me. Jacob isn't an art. You gotta let me be
Jacob's a good
stupid if
boy.
I'm gonna be stupid.
He's
And
a
he may
fine
be.
lad.
I mean, look, okay. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Casey's ruined my whole week. I don't even know what's gonna happen now.
Emily Lacey being taken away by Mrs. Quigley. That's like what we were.
Yeah.
Well,
So Nancy, or I mean not Nancy, but Margaret
Fine, then.
decides to make the call. Be quiet. Her. So Margaret just decides to make the call because basically when they're trying to smuggle George's corpse out of the house, Mrs. Quigley's been sitting up at the scan walls all day just watching them. You know, she's just waiting for, you know, something, some kind of hint that Emily Lacey's there, basically, is what she's watching her for. So when basically right when they're about to take George out of the house, Margaret opens the door and Lydia's standing right there on the other side of the door. And she's like, "Where's Emily Lacey?" And so Margaret decides to, you know, get her and her goonies off her case because they needed to get George out of the house. So she rats out Nancy's house, which is like kind of a low blow to her best friend too, you know? Those goonies to her best friend's house. But I mean, it was kind of
She did tell Nancy when she was doing it, though. She said like,
she
or
lied
right
to her.
after. I thought she told her.
She said it was.
Oh shit!
Who did she say it was? Somebody. It was like a call or somebody like that. But she sent him away.
Yeah, some person found her or something. Yeah, it was like it's a different.
Well, the thing is.
Oh, it was Mrs. Scan. She said it was Mrs. Scanwell and her daughter. But
Yeah.
Go fuck themselves, basically. That's what she said.
Yeah.
Well,
go preach up their asses.
I told everybody, or Miss Quigley told everybody that, well, basically she said it's Mrs. Wells, your friend Mrs. Wells, when Emily Lacey was getting in. Hypothetically, the whores at the door couldn't hear that because she actually said it really low. But this is a show, so they probably heard it. Somebody heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the sound traveled very far. Yeah, and yeah,
it's that cunning megaphone.
And
the echoes off the cunny walls.
Yeah, they get Emily Lacey gets taken away, and yeah, the last kind of big thing besides George Howard going in the gutter, which is funny because they treated Mary Cooper so well, but the one who actually should have the type of funeral or whatever that that Mary Cooper had. Jordan.
Well, Emily Lacey would get a good funeral. I'm probably right. They don't have a body, but
potentially, like that'll be an interesting funeral. Would anybody show up?
We're having a wake for Emily Lacey's head. Let's all have a good time.
Poor Emily Lacey's having a rough go, though. That's another thing is she's like wandering around. She's like, oh,
she made her bed though.
Yeah, it's true. She's like, didn't you used to be Emily Lacey? And she's like, I still am. I'm the queen of fucking Quim.
Yeah, she's so funny. But she made she made her bed and she can't now lie in it. Ha ha ha. Because she got no bed. But yeah, she's kind of crazy, that one. And the last kind of not big thing, but the last character we kind of have to talk about, obviously, is Charlotte, and she meets up with the Irish not a pirate, Daniel Marney, and after they're
me
down,
Blarney Stone, got to go get your property.
yeah,
Look, I can't take you to America with me. All right.
He's like,
Let
I
me
got no
promise.
money. You got some money?
Yeah, he's like,
He's
I
like, let's
saved
run
up a
away.
little
You got
bit.
some money?
Old girl was shoving. What do you call them? What's their money called? There's two different. I know one's a
guineas,
pound, but what's the other
guineas,
coin that they
The
were
guineas?
talking about?
Yeah.
A guinea, yeah. The old lady's been shoving guineas up my ass, and I've been saving them.
yeah,
I've got enough guineas to get me to America, but I don't know what we're gonna do. We gotta go get your shit.
yeah.
Basically, I predict he leaves for America without her, but this is really what he's doing. She's having a hard time. She possibly is in love with him. I know she has feelings for him, but love only counts for so much, especially in this world when you got to worry about, you know, when you got to fucking eat. Like when things are so hard, you don't even have a bed anymore, and you don't want to go back to your mom's house because of your pride, which that'll probably fall apart at some point. She'll go back, if she doesn't get burned at the stake first. But she's having a really tough time. But they did find each other, and they didn't need money. They do have some wealth on them, which is their love.
Johnny talking all cheesy. Yeah.
Hey, I may be one thing. I may be a weird asshole that says a lot of crazy shit, but I believe in love. So.
Yeah, they go back to because all of the George Howard stuff's happening, and they don't really know that it's happening. And she goes to Haxby's house, George's house, and she's confronted by Haxby, and Haxby's like, she no longer lives here. But yeah, and then he obviously punches Haxby in the gut and was like, bye.
Screw
But
you, Erin.
yeah, and she's dealing with that that whole thing, and how, like you said, Johnny, he basically says, I don't want to see you have to sell yourself for food when we're into all of the men in New York. And then they have obviously the build
I
up.
want you to sell your cabbage for a head of cabbage.
But then it built up to the romantic moment that it is when those two, I guess, hook up for consummate whatever sort of relationship that they have.
Can I say really quick, you know where they end up in the future? Have you seen Monty Python and the two peasants in the field? I didn't vote for you. That's what Charlotte Wells looks like now. You can even tell by the fake mole on her face.
Old woman.
I wish I could throw that clip up right now. I'm not a woman. No, wait, old man. I'm not a man. Oh my god.
And
one of the best movies ever. Sorry, I always quote that movie. My bad.
Yeah, because they also have, like earlier, they had a conversation about going to America if they survive the voyage to America, and all of these like other things, and they want to. She like wants to go, but she now in some way finds out that George is dead in some aspects, or he's as good as dead at this point, and she's kind of ready to go on whatever adventure the Irish not a pirate is willing to take her on. And yeah, it's those two are quite an interesting pairing to kind of watch and see what happens. But he's gonna probably end up in heartbreak because she's gonna probably stay on the show much longer than he is. As like Johnny said, he's probably gonna go to America. Watch the older brother slave owner and Daniel, the Irish not a pirate, will share a ship together in America to
Oh
America.
shit! I got the biggest fucking. Okay, here's my tinfoil for what's gonna happen to the privateer. He's gonna say he murdered fucking Howard the Duck to take the heat off Charlotte. That's my super tinfoil prediction. Do not anybody spoil me in the chat, but that's my tinfoil prediction. That if he does do something, that his love for Charlotte, he will sacrifice his life for hers.
Oh
Possibly.
no! She'll be like,
So
no.
that's my tinfoil.
Well, they did have that scene where they tried to go back to George Howard's house to get the stuff, and then he like punched Haxby, and so yeah, it doesn't paint them in a very good light, those two. So we'll see what's gonna happen.
And makes incriminating evidence. And Haxby, he pisses vinegar, so he's probably gonna be like, yeah, totally, she did it, even though she obviously didn't do it.
Yeah. He's got no problem like throwing her under the bus to incriminate her.
We all know where the pineapple is now. Haxby has it up his ass.
Yeah, he's like, my last memories of Howard before I get kicked out of the house. But I think we kind of covered everything. If we missed anything, I don't know what to tell you. We'll probably recap it part of it next week. But yeah, I guess. Yeah, like these episodes are really good, and I'm excited to see what happens in the last 2 episodes. So we'll be talking about the season finale next week. But what did y'all think about these episodes, and what's going on with you guys on your channels or whatever the like?
Should I say ladies first? I mean, I am the oldest and most distinguished lady on this panel, so.
Yeah.
Elders first.
Age before beauty, right?
There you go. All right, age before beauty. Here it goes then. Oh, this really solidified for me that this was a fantastically great show. The twists and turns and the stabbings, the laudanum overdoses, the actual secret society of murderers that we got underlying here, the humanization of Mrs. Quigley, which Braavosi warned me about. Also, we got this Harriet plot. There's so many thick, juicy plot lines going on right now that I don't know what to do with myself. And I just have to say, I really appreciate this show, and I'm glad we're getting to talk about it. Thanks again, Erin. Thank you, MackenzieLBurns, a.k.a. Sasa, for having me on. I'm doing lots of shit on my channel. I got Vikings tomorrow, every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Vikings Berserker Brunch, Season 6. What are we going to do? Talk about that outstanding dialogue in Vikings. Maybe I'm being facetious, maybe not.
Well, you gotta see the fight scenes are probably going to be okay.
Well, and also, I know I've been talking about this, but this extensive series I got coming out, The Chronicles of Fire and Blood, with the Braavosi broadcast, aka Fake Arya, is looking good. I swear there's stuff going. If you go on my Patreon, you can actually see half of the script, the intro, and the red sewing. We're saving the dragons for the thing, but hey, it's coming out. It's coming out. It's going to be looking good. And we're working on this together, and it's going to be very, very fun because we got House of the Dragon coming out, plus Fire and Blood 2. And we'll be just getting all through this because there's so much content and great story arcs, storylines, and just interesting characters. I mean, Corlys Valerion's one of them. And he doesn't even ride a fucking dragon. And this man's amazing. So,
his wife does them, and she's amazing.
Nobody cares about his wife, okay?
Oh,
she's just a figure.
She doesn't get enough. She doesn't get enough credit
for page time.
No, you don't. I mean, no, she doesn't.
She doesn't get enough page time because it's not a screen yet.
Gonna come whipping melees.
She's mean as hell, though.
But Johnny, what do you rate these 2 episodes?
What do I rate these 2 episodes, man? I'll give these 2 episodes both a solid 9.5. And I don't even do that. Like 9.5. Cunny courtesans.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so you got your Patreon. Go check that out. I know Johnny's been working hard, and go check also out the Watchmen, because you got on that you get Tech West, Dornish Lynch, AK, sometimes Justin, and Fandom DC. You got all of those crazy crew over there with from talking about the Watchmen. So go check that out with Johnny. But Erin, what did you think about this episode? What did you rate it? And what you got going on, if anything, on your channel?
I like.
Why you gotta say it like that, Sasa? If anything.
I know, jeez, the hate. No, I'm just kidding.
You can announce.
Busy, that's why I said that.
No, I know.
If you want to announce
I
the
am
other
terrible
video, go
procrastinator.
ahead.
I'm not. We're not.
You're
ready
not gonna
yet.
announce it yet? Okay. Okay.
It's still, you know. But
I
I
got you. Well, there's
appreciate
something
that.
in the
Maybe next
works.
week. Yeah. It's gonna be good. You know. But I'll tell you. I'll give you a hint, and some of it has to do with King Arthur.
Dun, dun, dun.
But yeah, no. I think these episodes were great. I thought that there was a lot of action and a lot of excitement. I think these two episodes really kind of were a turn for the series to like really, like Johnny was saying, like just make it a more impactful series in general. You know, you're getting a lot of heavy stuff, and so yeah, I would give it, I don't know, I would say 8.5 Emily's evasions.
Yeah. But yes, go check out Erin's channel. She put out a really, really long and extensive, but really well done video on Magor the Cruel. Go check it out. As well as
Sometimes
all
I
the
feel like you're being sarcastic.
I know, Sasa's salty tonight.
I'm getting tired. So I'm like, oh,
no, it was really long, so you can put it on, Sasa, and it'll put you to sleep for sure.
No, I watched it and it didn't put me. Like I watched it and it was really good. But go check that out, along with all of Erin's other videos, because they're all really good. Especially the Melisandre one. That keeps getting recommended to me now on my YouTube page. Yeah, it does. It keeps showing up. Yeah, the Melisandre one
with the little girl.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the
Shadowbinder one.
I think it was the little girl one, and then the ale video that you did. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it was like that gets too recommended to me. Like I saw that it changes between those two. It's quite funny.
That makes me happy.
I'm like, I watched that, but
my Melisandre and the little girl video, that's like my video that has the most views, but is a completely like wrong theory that didn't work out, but it's still a lot of fun. So if you guys just want to like have some fun tinfoil, you can go watch that one on my channel.
Like that one's a really good one. I'm just like,
it's still a good video.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, you know me, the two of my videos that's on there is just like, nope, I get roasted on Twitter about them if you ever mention
Might as well say shameless plug. Go check out my quickies of Ice and Fire, you sons of bitches. Mm-hmm. No, they're really good. There's gonna be some more coming out. There'll be a lot of characters from Fire and Blood, but I got a few more. And April 1st, I know that's a long way away, but the quickie of Ice and Fire by Peter Baelish, about Peter Baelish, will be out on April 1st, and I'm not telling anybody else. So everybody that hears right now is the only people that are gonna know about it. But
on
that's
April 1st?
On April Fool's Day, yeah.
It's an exclusive.
Are you lying then?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it starts off like this. I grew up a poor boy, noble, and all but no. Oh shit! I done fucked it up. I do got the script right here though. Hold on.
Johnny.
But anyways, I'm not gonna. Sorry, I tried.
No, we'll have to stay tuned for April 1st.
In the future, come back and just be like, I knew it.
Noble, but only in name and the ward of Lord Tully. Yeah, there's all kinds of
Um,
grandiosing things. Whatever.
and you know that AK and Fandom D State will love that video because they love when you do Peter Baelish voice. But bye, Attila. Thank you for stopping by. It was so much fun.
Angel, thank you. Chaos.
But for me,
Chaos is a pineapple.
it's a pineapple. For me, I think that this episode, like Johnny said, it's one of the better ones. It really it becomes where we're really getting what this show's like most likely known for, which is the crazy antics of these women, not just like what we've seen already. I think I'm gonna copy you, Johnny, with the number of the rating with being 9.5 because I think these two episodes are probably my favorites that we've seen so far. And I think that it'll go with 9.5. What did I say earlier? Oh yeah, 9.5 sisters and stab wounds. But for me and for
Sister Stew takes on a whole new connotation for Harlots.
Sister stabs or stabbing sisters anyway. But yeah, for me, anything else is we're going to be talking about the last two episodes of season 1 next week. Their debates may show up. I may put out some other video. Maybe it's finals week, so it'll all show up later in the month, if not this week. But also got their debates coming back whenever it comes back, because we got to do at least one or two more good rounds. But yeah, we'll be talking about this. And thank you both, Johnny and
You're
Erin.
welcome. Can I say the base for Harlot Sisters stew has to be the congealed blood of Howard the Duck?
Yeah.
And the red or the white.
Yeah. And while we're talking about this a little bit and Patreon and stuff, like go check that out. I try to keep updated there as much as possible. You'll most likely find out new information there as well as Facebook. So shout out to the lovely patrons of the channel. We got Bobbi Catalano, Catherine Harding, Dark Mother, Katrin C, Nancy T, and the podcastat.com. That family of podcasts, and yeah, they keep the show running basically. And they're like you guys, they're also a great support as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. We've taken up about 2 hours, but I hope you enjoyed it, spending your Wednesday night with us, and it's been awesome. So be sure to check out everybody's stuff on the panel, and we'll see you guys next week for the season finale episodes of Harlots.
And always remember, cunnies have rights too.
Yes, they do. All right. Bye, everybody. Oh, wait. No, we got to shout out to the chat, but pretty quick. Peter Griffin, Braavosi Broadcast, Attila Angel, House of the Conqueror, Mandolin 523, KCC of House Lorebridge, and let's see. I think Peter Griffin. I think we got everybody. If I didn't get you later.
Dark Mother, Chrissy of Oldstone, Sasa K, Tater Nuts, Danny McKay, Chicken Salad,
Catherine Harding, and so on. And so on.
Lemon Sizzle. All kinds of folks up.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Bye, guys.